Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Educator Experience podcast. My name is Sally Carter, and this is a space where I sit down with fellow educators from around the world and we get to know about them, who they are as people. How do they get into education to where they are now, their passions, maybe some of their failures, impactful moments in their careers, all of that good stuff. I want to know it all. I want to know it all, especially in such a time when being an educator can feel overwhelming and lonely. And with AI and cuts and all kinds of crazy stuff, the world just in the way that it is right now, I like to bring this sense of community as we get to know each other as people and that we are all in this boat together. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with Chase Jeffels. He's an actor, a comedian, and a teacher who's based in Toronto and believes in playful failure and helping performers find their genuine voice instead of faking it. No one here has ever faked it before, right? Um, Trained at École Jacques Lecoq and under legendary clown master Philippe Goyer, Chase teaches what he calls goofing, which is a blend of clown, solo improv, and riffing that's all about discovering what's uniquely and honestly funny about you. It's such an interesting and invigorating conversation. First of all, because he's a professional clown, I expected him to. I wasn't sure if he was going to be dressed as a clown. And that was my absolute naivete coming through. One does not need to look like a clown to use the clown method. So that was really interesting to know. So you get to learn about comedy and then how it's relevant in our classrooms too. He really touches on the idea of playful failure, how we can promote failure in our classrooms, that space that then can create once people are comfortable failing. And also how us as educators can recover from failure and make fun of ourselves and keep situations a little bit light. Because I'm sure we've all had things absolutely bomb in our classrooms and how to recover from that or just go with the flow. And speaking of absolutely bombing, recently I had the pleasure of attending the Big Pitch competition here in Kamloops, British Columbia. It was put on by Community Futures, an incredible opportunity to win $10,000 towards your business. What happened first is we all pitched to a closed door of judges, and then the top companies or top pitches were then selected to go on and pitch in front of a live audience and with a new set of judges. And I was super fortunate that we were selected as one of the top pitches and to pitch in front of a live audience. And guess what happened? Sally Carter absolutely bombed, completely bombed. These other pitches, there were top six, they're not public speakers and they did amazing. Nobody looked visibly nervous. They all said they were, but they did well. They pitched their businesses effectively. And then me, who actually does occasional public speaking, I'm in front of a class talking to professionals all the time. I get up there and I am shaking, visibly shaking. My voice is nervous and it's just, I'm so nervous. I'm speaking from cue cards because I'm too nervous to actually remember my 3-minute pitch. That's all I had to do, 3 minutes. I messed up my place in my cue cards at one point. I'm pretty sure I made slightly inappropriate jokes when being asked questions by the judges. Long story short, I bombed. So it just this conversation made me think of what it's like to fail at something, but then roll with it, have a good giggle or laugh at oneself and just kind of keep on moving, right? It happens. Playful failure. How can we initiate that type of safe space in our classrooms? And just to put out there, Chase and I are talking about hosting some of his fabulous comedy courses and classes through the educator experience, a little bit more geared towards educators and kind of letting that mask down a little bit, having fun, finding our funny self or reconnecting with our authentic self. So please stay tuned and watch out for those. Without further ado, I am super jazzed to share with you my conversation with Chase Jeffels. Let's get to it. Being an educator is one heck of a lonely journey, but every step holds a story, an experience that shapes how we teach, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Educator Experience. I'm your host, Sally Carter, and together we'll explore the moments that define us as educators. Through authentic conversations and shared experiences, we're building a community that connects, reflects, and inspires, all while breaking down barriers in education, one story at a time. You are not alone. Let's grow together. Case, thank you so much for joining us on the Educator Experience podcast. I'm really excited to be chatting with you. Tell us about your journey, where you're at now, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, okay, my journey going all the way back or how far
Wherever
back?
works for you. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll give a sort of, abridged, version
Bridge
slightly.
version, sure.
Yeah, Cole's Notes. One of those sort of classic stories of, like, a performer kid and always was performing for my family as a kid, and I think my parents saw that I liked that so much, sort of goofing around. I would always, like, dress up in sort of costumes as a kid and then come to the dinner table and start doing bits, and that was their cue of like, maybe he wants to do something like this. And then my
Maybe we
mom
should
put me.
nurture this side.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, which I'm surprised they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Most I'm from Alberta, so most conservative families aren't totally about that.
Like, you need to learn some math, become an accountant. Let's
Exactly.
get you
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this track. Yeah.
Yeah, blue collar job, that would be,
Right?
more ideal. But no, they weren't like that at all. They put me in a theater program after school when I was a kid, so I started doing improv and comedy and drama sort of stuff, and then, they put me into an arts high school, Victoria School of the Arts, very lovely arts high school, um and right out from there, I went to, theater school, to George Brown Theater School, for 3 years. During that time, I was, like, trying to be a serious really serious actor, doing Stratford and Shaw, and that was where my dreams. But then there was this teacher that I had in George Brown. His name, was, Peter Wilde. He passed maybe, 5 years ago now, but he was this almost like, out of a book, like a Harry Potter book or some sort of fantasy book. He would wear like a top hat and like a leather vest, and he had he was kind of this posture all the time. Had these wild eyebrows that would fly out.
I know exactly what you're talking about for the eyebrows. I have not seen a set of those wiry, floaty eyebrows in a very long time,
It's
actually.
it's kind of out of style, I feel like, but maybe it'll come
Yes,
back.
thank goodness, but
Yeah,
to
but I
each
mean,
their
he
own.
was. Yes, to each their own, and
No
I have
judgment.
pretty big eyebrows too, so maybe when I'm that old, like in my 80s or
Wow,
70s,
yeah,
it'll
you could.
grow.
You could
So,
get away with some crazy
yeah.
brows. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I wanna do that. Anyways, so he took a very big interest in me, and, fast forwarding a little bit, he became my mentor. This one day, he was coaching me in a monologue, and, he was like, "Have you ever thought about going to, Lecoq?" Which is, it's a clown school, Jacques Lecoq, in France, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, all the time." I really love clown. I feel at home in clown. And he was like, "Well, why don't you go?" And I was like, "Well, because first of all, don't speak French and it's totally in French and, I'm afraid." And he was like, "Well, don't stop being so afraid. Like, stop, like, and you'll learn French." And I was like, okay." And I guess, like, to kind of preface this, I had such a draw to comedy, and, we did, what's called a farce. You know what a farce is? A farce is like slamming doors sort of play, a lot of physical comedy and characters, zany. Um, the modern equivalent would be like a sitcom that's like came from farces. So I did this farce, and I just love the physical comedy. I love the bigness of the characters and being silly. My parents were in town one day in Toronto, seeing me graduate from George Brown, and he wanted to have dinner with my parents. So he brought us to this nice little restaurant, and almost immediately he started saying, and this is how he talked. This is not me exaggerating. I didn't really do an impression because I was trying to get through the story, but he would go, "This boy needs to go to Lecoq." And I was like, And he sat there and just kind of laid out a whole all the reasons why I should be going to school, and if I didn't, it would be a missed opportunity. And my parents sort of looked at me, and I was like, sort of in my eyes, like I didn't. This is not my plan.
Yeah.
And I told my parents, "Hey,
Slight
don't."
ambush.
It was an ambush. It was a total ambush,
Definition
and
of an ambush. Yep.
yeah, he's like that though. He's very bold. So he said that. My parents, I was like, "Hey guys, it's okay. I did theater school. Like I don't need to go to another theater school. It's fine." And later that year, my dad, he takes. I have three other brothers. He takes each brother somewhere in the world for a challenge and then for something recreational, so that we can like build the bond between father and son. That's that whole thing. So we went to Paris for a recreational thing, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, we should go to that school." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's go and check it out." And walked into this like crazy, like in the middle of Paris, this really weird to get to. Um, it's actually a gymnasium. It was an old boxing ring from back in, I don't know, the 50s or something. And it turned into this physical theater school, clown school called École Jacques Lecoq. This old, decrepit, sort of falling down gymnasium. And I walked in, and there was a bunch of clowns, and they're all doing their thing. And I'm just like in awe, kind of like, wow, this is so cool. And I had a chat with some of the clowns and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, very lucky boy. My dad was like, okay, you can go, but you have to go like this year. Like you have to go immediately if you want to do this. And I was like, you serious? He's like, yeah. So that following year, I went to clown school, and that's how I got there.
You had so much backing and love. Like, everyone seems like they were supporting you to do this and to help get you there. That's really beautiful. Not everyone has that,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Yeah.
I'm so lucky, so lucky, and a lot of honestly a lot of privilege
Everyone's like,
to do
"We
that.
know what you should be doing."
Yes, this man's a clown.
Lead you
Yes.
there. Yeah, you were
Yes,
meant to
it's
be a clown. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, 2 years at, École Jacques Lecoq, which was the craziest, some of the best years of my life, I think. To be in Paris at, I think I was 22, um, that's kind of insane. Learning French, I learned French. And then I studied later after I graduated from Lecoq, I studied with this man called Philippe Gaulier, and he's the teacher of performers like Sacha Baron Cohen and Emma Thompson and Helen Bonham Carter. He's a renowned master of clown, um, which really translates to this French man who would be with a drum and he would go, "It's not funny. Get off the stage. It's terrible. It's bad." That was his sort of way of teaching. But he was known for that. But that more than anything, almost in those 2 years of Jacques Lecoq, that changed my life. Those 2 weeks I spent with him, and I think I wouldn't be a teacher if it wasn't for him. And that's honestly, it's not for everyone. He wasn't a perfect man by any means, Gaulier. He was problematic in some ways, I think, and all the students will admit that. But what he taught was pleasure. Never like, what is your true pleasure on stage? And I don't know if anyone taught it as good as he did. I went away from that experience being like, I love this so much. I think it's so important for people, not just performers, to remember their pleasure, to be alive and to perform or just to be in life, So, yeah, that's
Okay, so
what
I have a
got me to
question
teaching.
about this. I
Yes,
love
yes.
this. So, what is your pleasure? But how does one teach that or bring that out? Like, what was special about him that he was able to bring that out in you specifically,
It's a good question. He doesn't have
despite his
like,
problematicness?
well, I mean, so, going off that, I mean, his way was via Negativa, a thing called via Negativa. I'm sure it's talked about in education circles a lot, which is to say what is not going well, not saying
Okay.
what is going right, because the whole thing is that you can't say how somebody is funny. Only they know how they're funny, but only the teacher can show you what is funny and tell you what is not working, at least in the clown world.
Okay.
So he did that by whenever I was performing or coming on and faking my pleasure is what he would call it and be like, "I'm a clown, a performer, check this out." I'd pull faces and he'd be like, don't do that. Like you're faking your pleasure and you have a good pleasure, but you're hiding it. You have to change. There was just a moment on stage I remember I just started having fun and like with making myself laugh. And that's when the audience started to laugh. And all of a sudden he was like, there we go. Like that's what we're looking for. Clown training is like a sideways kind of teaching. We can't teach it directly. The point is to put you off balance so that you find it yourself, you know? Yeah, if that makes sense. It's mysterious. It's a mysterious art.
I'm trying to think of if there's anything else like that, like an analogy or that would be taught in a sideways way like that, that you can't teach directly. But it's a really interesting statement.
Yeah. It is a good, I think like Zen and meditation, and I'm not claiming to be
Ah,
any
okay. This
expert
is
in that,
yes, yes, yes. You can't, yeah.
but similarly, there's this whole metaphor of like, the teacher will point at the moon, and the whole idea is to see the moon, but are you looking at the moon or are you looking at the finger pointing at the moon? It's like
Okay.
a little bit of an analogy, and the idea is that the finger should be invisible. The teacher's job is to point, but it's up to you to see the moon for the moon, to see it without seeing the finger. Yeah.
So essentially, you were able to let go through his teachings. Is that
Yeah.
fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. He says he teaches freedom, which I believe, like I truly believe when I'm in that state or when anybody's in that state, I see them, you feel free to be you, which is, yeah, really.
And then what
So,
did you do after?
so after that, I mean, I came back here, for a moment, was trying to be, more of like a traditional theater actor. Then COVID hit and theater was non-existent. I was doing a lot of comedy and improv and learning about just like mainstream comedy. That was a whole other journey that brought me to sort of improvisation. Then I met these two guys. They're called Two Man No Show. And instead of doing a scene or whatever, they're interacting with the audience and playing games on the spot. They have nothing planned and they're just giving the audience a good time and interacting with them. And it's like a lot of physical comedy, a lot of ridiculousness, a lot of daring and risk taking. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it was always a good time. And I was like, wow, what is that? I want to do that. So then it led me to this theater here in Toronto, which I don't think there's any other theater like it in Canada, called Sweet Action Theater. It's a clown theater, uh, purely for clown work. So there was just a group of clowns here at this theater. Quite literally, one of the guys from Two Man No Show, his name's Isaac Kessler, grabbed me by the shoulder after a show and said, "Hey, I think you would really like this."
Mm.
I was like, "Oh," which led me to this whole journey of a type of clown that comes from LA called idiot work.
Idiot,
John
IDIOT, like idiot?
Yes, like idiots. Yeah, idiot
Idiot,
work.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So there's this whole group of clowns. There's actually quite a renaissance going on in LA about clown work. And John Gilkey created it. He's did like a lot of Cirque du Soleil, was sort of a classic clown, circus clown, but then had this idea of idiot work being a cross between what's called so much terminology, bouffon and clown. And it like Buffon is like the dark clown. The easiest way I can explain it, Buffon is trying to laugh at the audience, like sort of mocking the audience for like some dark stuff that they do. And for clown, it's like you're laughing at the clown. So it's like
Got it,
that's the exchange.
okay.
So this art form that is between both of them. But the biggest thing for me was the riffing with an audience and improvising with them with nothing planned. That blew my mind, and I was like, I have to do this. So
Yeah. That's a different
yes.
type of, comedy, isn't it? To be able to interact with the audience on that level and just
Mm.
riff. Like, it I would imagine it can be scary or
Incredibly
intimidating.
scary. Yes, incredibly
Yeah,
scary. And different from stand-up or normal improv or, like, mainstream
yeah.
comedy. It's because the main difference being, I think, that you are getting laughs from your failure, like, from it not working. When you bomb, that's actually much more where the clown starts to come in because you look at them and go, "Oh, that was bad," and the clown, should accept the flop and be like, "Oh, no, that was bad," and like, "Oh, what am I gonna do? Like, I need to figure this out."
Yeah.
Like, um, it's much more human in my view, yeah, of things, but, um, I do 30 minutes of free fall. Like I do a 30-minute set of nothing planned and I come and entertain the audience. Like that's one of my bits, I guess, that I do. I'm not the only one to have done it, but um, it's quite a ride when you have nothing where you go. So I kind of end up wanting to teach that, like, 'cause I think there's a freedom in it. Getting back to teaching a little bit, that's what I wanted to teach, was like to teach pleasure and joy and how to be genuinely funny and not putting things on, putting masks on. Yeah.
So, can I go back to just the idea of clowning and what it is? So, I wasn't sure it to expect if you were going to be dressed up as a clown for our conversation. So, is
Yeah.
clown or clowning a mindset versus what we traditionally view as a clown all dressed up? Like, what can you tell us exactly what it means? Or
Yeah,
tell me rather?
that's a good question. It's a classic conversation I have a lot when I say, "Hey, I'm a clown." People are like, "Oh, you do birthday parties?" Or,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
"Are you in the circus?" In North American view of clown, I understand it's like red nose, makeup, big shoes, Ronald McDonald, the clown, you know? Like, it's
Yeah.
a obscured view of what clown is. If you ask people in Europe, they would be like, "Oh yeah, like we're talking Charlie Chaplin, we're talking Jacques Tati, we're talking a bunch of those type of clowns." So I don't know. My answer to your question is a tough one because, and all clowns say this: the people who think they know what clown is don't know what clown is, and the people who don't know what clown is know what clown is, and that's really confusing. And I think that's the point. Is because I don't
Love a
know.
good riddle on a early Sunday morning, Chase.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah, I'm like,
It
okay.
helps nobody, that riddle. But for me and what they say at the school, what is a clown's job? A clown's job is to make people laugh. That's it.
Got it.
Um, so yes, you could say it's a mindset if you want to, but there is a sort of style, and some people will be
Yeah.
like, "No, this is what clown is," and this is what clown is. I think the fundamental thing to say about clown, though, is a performer goes up and they have a really good joke. And they think they have a really good joke and they're just excited to tell it. They know it's going to just make the audience laugh so hard. The performer goes, they start telling this joke, their, anticipation's building. And then they say the punchline, nobody laughs. Yeah. And the performer like says the punchline a couple more times and still nobody laughs. And then the performer is so frustrated because they were like, no, that was supposed to be amazing. They're so frustrated and they storm off the stage. And when they storm off the stage, then the audience started laughing. So it's in the moment of the failure of the flop of it not working where the clown arrives, which is the tragedy kind of the clown, is that you don't know how you're funny. The audience will tell you how you're funny.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a long winded answer. And I think that's very clowny, is not to have a straight answer to you about what that is. Um,
I'm picking up slowly here. Okay.
yeah.
So we're just going to speak in roundabout terms.
I promise. I know what I'm talking about.
Right? You're like,
Yes.
this is what I do, I
Yes.
swear. So that's interesting. So would a person in that situation be considered to be more clowning if their jokes fail and then they just rolled with it and they just embraced the failure? So even though like now I'm getting a little probably too technical, which I
No, go for
probably
it. Yeah.
shouldn't even, I'm overthinking it, but yeah, it takes a certain type of skill to embrace the failure and have fun with it.
Yes. Yes. It's
Yeah.
hard to accept, but the idea is to accept it. Yeah. And go with it. Yeah. And to share with the audience your stupidity. There's a sort of beauty in that. Galia always talked about the beautiful idiot. We want the beautiful idiot. We want you to be so ridiculous um, and be so bad. Like we want you to be so bad. It's so good to be bad is like something he would say a lot of the times.
That's why I have this show, just to show the world, share with the world my stupidity.
There you go. Well, there you go. You're doing it. There's clowning. There you go.
The occasionally absolutely ridiculous thing that comes from my mouth, and my
Yeah.
teammates like, "Should we cut that?" I'm like, "Oh, let's just roll with it. It's okay."
Yeah.
Way to
Let the
clown
world
around
see.
sometimes, right? Say the
Yeah. There you
absolute
go.
most ridiculous thing. So,
Yes.
so you're involved in teaching adults too. So you teach this practice, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have such joy in telling people about this, and people would come up to me and after and be like, "What is it that you're like? What is it you're doing? I think it's so fun." And I'd be like, "Oh, it's this, and this," and just found a passion for that. So I was like, "Let's see if I can teach this." So I started these drop-ins, and people came, and I just found, I don't know if you get this when you teach, but there's a sort of blacking out moment where all the preparation you've done, you're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to happen. And then you get in the room and all of a sudden something takes over and you come to the end of your time with the class and you're like, who was that person? Like, where did that come from? We seem to have gotten through the class. And I work with this thing called Playful Failure. So I basically put adults in the shit. Can I swear on this podcast? Is that okay?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
fuck. I put them in the fucking shit. Yeah, that's kind of what I do, and I put that right in the description of my classes. It's like the whole job here is that you go on stage with nothing, and you have to make us laugh. Like that's the goal, and
Oh,
that's
stressful.
scary.
That's like making my
Yeah,
heart skip a beat here.
which is when the people come in, I go, "You're very brave to be here," because the description of this class is not an easy one to swallow.
Right.
But I
You
get a
don't
wide
sugarcoat
variety
it,
of.
hey? It's not like you even mislead them, like, "We're gonna be doing this," and then you throw it at them like you're pretty straight. Like, if you came here, you know you're gonna be in the shit, like, right away.
Yes,
You
yeah,
came here to challenge.
yeah, and I think that's what people want. I mean, I get a lot of people from, like, healthcare that come in or who work desk jobs, or people who are, like, retired and they wanna do something scary or challenging. It's a delight, I love it. I'm like, "Good for you for coming in," like, but I do get a lot of comedians as well and performers and actors, who are just trying to shake it up. So, yeah, we play some games. They fail at those things, and I point it out, and I ask them to, make eye contact with us when they fail, not to hide, because usually we hide. We like to look down or look away when we're doing something
Yes.
embarrassing. Um, and that's always very hard to train. Obviously, I'm like, no, 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 look at us. No, look at us. Very good. Okay, you failed. Why did you fail there? What were you thinking? I should preface I should preface this with the French way of training clown is very via negativa. I sort of play in a playful, authoritative figure, which is never meant to hurt anybody. It's never meant to cause harm, but it's meant to sort of like provoke and throw you off. Because again, like I say, it's sort of a sideways way of training. There's no direct way for me to train it. I can train technique, rhythm and timing, and we do touch on that a little bit. But in order for someone to find how they're authentically funny, that's on them. And I just need to create a space where they're thrown into the shit and they can fail and they can try and then they fail and try and fail. And
Yeah.
yeah. So does that answer the question? I don't know. Have I been rambling? Is
Yeah.
this?
So, okay, so you're teaching these classes. So, what is it like for you to now be a teacher of this art? Like, what are you noticing? What's come up with your classes or with your students that you're seeing that's interesting?
Um, I think the most interesting thing is that people come out the other end and they're like, "Oh, I survived. I survived. I survived that."
Yeah, I got my certificate. I did this.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because I think when they first come in that, yeah, there's like you had the reaction of like, "That's terrifying. Like, I might die." But for me,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that, they come out with a smile on their face and they're like, "Oh, like, I had nothing and I went on stage and I made people laugh." And I failed and I made myself look kind of ridiculous. Um, which is there's a mixture of reactions to that.
Geez, how do you think that impacts their lives afterwards? So they've gone through this class with you. Like if they're going back to their jobs or their lives, what's the impact after?
So I always say this after each class, to frame it, to go into their everyday life. I say putting yourself in a place to be rejected is an act of self-love because you believed in yourself to come here. If you never believed in yourself and put yourself in a situation to be rejected, that would be a disrespect to yourself. So I'm always like, keep putting yourself in the place to get rejected. Clown does that. We go, we try something, we believe it's going to work, it doesn't work, and we get a no. And we'll keep getting no's until we get a yes. But what matters more than anything is that they put themselves in that position. And that's an act of self-belief and self-love that you can do things. So I think people go away with this sort of renewed sense of taking risks and waking up and not being afraid of a no anymore, being more spontaneous, be themselves more, not be unapologetically themselves. Something big people walk away with. Yeah.
Love that. Is there something that stands out from any of your teaching experiences?
Um, yeah, I have this student. She she was very when she first came to my classes, she was sort of a little bit introverted, sort of quiet. Wasn't so sure in my first class. It was tough. Like there was moments where it just wasn't working, or she wasn't coming out of her shell a little bit. And at first with those students when they're first coming to class, I'm a little more gentle. Like I'm just like trying to push them, just like nudge them a little bit more. She kept coming back, uh, and there was this one moment where it wasn't working so well, and she started to. And this is very classic clown class. You can ask any clown teacher. She started to cry, and that's a super normal reaction to being faced with the unknown and when you get rejected. Like it's like cry. What I say very nicely, I always, if you ever feel unsafe, you're not having fun, like we can sit down, like we can talk about it, and we can stop this. But what I invite them to do is to move into that, to push through that, and say like, yeah, okay, then let's show us the crying. Like it's not we're not trying to hide anything. So
Leaned
go for it,
into it.
lean into it.
Yeah.
And when she did, she cried a bit more, and we were all like very touched and feeling for her. And then at some point, for some reason, that released something for her, and she did. She drooled, just drooled a little bit, like just like
Love it.
on purpose, drooled, gave us a little drool, and we immediately just started bursting out in laughter because it was so ridiculous to have this contrast of like I'm upset and frustrated, and then just this like like vom or not vom, sorry, drool that came out. And then she started laughing with us and having a good time and giving us some more things, playing with crying and going back into something ridiculous. And I just, from a long period, um, she kept coming back and getting more and more open and more taking risks and laughing and having fun. And I got to kind of know her a bit more. For me, it's amazing when I spend a long time with students to see how much they open up and
Hmm.
how much more spontaneous and I feel like themselves they become. They stop putting the mask on of how they should be, and they just kind of let go. So yeah, I think that does that
I
answer your
love it.
question? Yeah,
Yeah, and that would definitely be me crying. I'd probably drool, like, not on purpose, but just because that's just
just because.
what my body would do. With a little
Yes,
snot
yes.
too,
Yeah,
just
oh
for good
yeah, yeah.
measure. For sure,
So
for
human,
sure.
so human. It's
Yes.
what we are. So we
Okay, so you mentioned playful failure. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
yeah. I say playful failure because it's kind of strange when a class is like, we're gonna fail. And every educational institution is like, we want to avoid failure at all costs. I was,
Failure is not the goal here.
yes, yes, we need to succeed at every corner. And if you fail, I think I'm not saying every education is like this. Obviously, it's like we need to fail in order to learn.
Mhm.
So when I say playful failure, it's like let's fail. Let's fail and let's have fun with it. Let's put ourselves in a position to look really ridiculous and almost embarrass ourselves on purpose so that we can feel that it's not such a big deal. We can move through that and we can use it as a tool. It's a tool to get better, right? We shouldn't be fail adverse. I always say, like, on the other side of your embarrassment is freedom. Like, that's your freedom on the other side of your embarrassment. So I had one student say quite literally, after we do this exercise where we do musical chairs, and if they don't get a chair, then they have to riff and try to get back into the game by making us laugh. And
Gosh.
after all of this, like I don't know, maybe 5 minutes of like trying stuff and me coaching as well, she was like, it's embarrassing. And I was like, yeah, yeah, it's really totally, it's absolutely embarrassing. Thank you for saying that. It is, but on the other side of your embarrassment, that's where your freedom lies, because then you stop putting a mask on. You risk
Interesting.
rejection.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was I was thinking about this idea of playful failure and how, like, in our more structured post-secondary world, I've heard of other people, like, what are the worst ideas? Let's write down or talk about the absolute worst possible marketing slogans, or let's come up with the worst ideas. Showing progression, that saying there's no such thing as a bad idea because that then can spark something in someone else and kind of ladder into good ideas or positive things or whatever, and to just have fun with it and brainstorming and get all the crazy out. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, use
Yeah.
failure as a stepping stone or as a learning a learning opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. That's, I'll have a lot of bad ideas is something we were taught in clown school. Like, just have a ton of bad ideas. I think we're gonna have a lot more bad ideas than good ideas. Like you say, bad of the bad idea might come the good idea.
It's funny because quite often we're hired as experts in certain things, and I'm like, I don't consider myself an expert in anything except bad ideas. Like, if you're gonna
Ah,
hire me
nice.
to teach a class on bad ideas, I am your person, but, I struggle to call myself an expert in anything yet other than
Yeah,
bad idea. I love it. I
yeah.
love a good bad idea.
That's a
Gets me
good,
going.
that would be a good just course, bad ideas.
Just hey!
An
That
expert an e
literally.
yeah.
I'm just kinda, like, thinking about this now. There's just something about letting go and having fun in a classroom. And when you're able to be silly and feel free, as you said, the mask kind of comes off, right? And in that space of play, incredible things can happen. And through those bad ideas, how did your training in France support playful failure?
Mm. It was really hard. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat
You
it.
said it
It's
was
really
negative, right? Like a negative type of,
Yeah, it was, and that's totally in the training. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's not for everybody, but it was hard. Like, it was 2 years of, like,
you suck.
stress. Yeah, oh, totally, yeah, and they would say it in French.
Get off
They
the
would say it in
stage.
exactly, yeah. Luckily, it was in French mostly, so I didn't know what they were saying. So yes, but eventually I did understand what they were saying, and that was rough. But I think they create a container for all of that, to fail. They would ask us at the end of every week to have something to present to them based on whatever we were working on that week. We'd have to have something to present no matter what. Even if we had nothing, we'd have to go up and improvise. And they would just be brutally honest. They would either stop it and say, no, that's bullshit. Like, sit down, or they would let it go on and they'd be like, great. They go, oh, not bad. This could use some work, but a lot of the times it was like, on jette ça dans la poubelle. Is like, let's throw that in the garbage. It's like, okay,
Remember that
cool.
word, poubelle. Yeah,
Yeah, de poubelle.
from my French
Um,
school.
yes, our Canadian French speaking. But yeah, so I think that created a space for that sort of idea, and as you went on, you were kind of just like, you stopped caring. You're like, okay, yeah, let's go up. Bam. No, okay, it didn't work. Great, let's try it again. It was just 2 years of nonstop creation and trying not to be precious, even though sometimes I was in my early 20s. So obviously I'd be like, "Arr, like, why didn't it work? My life, I'm in clown school. This is like, um, why is it not working? This theater." But they would always say to us, be like, hey, it's just theater. And also, you don't have to listen to us. This is us just provoking you. They would come in and watch one of our performances and they'd go, this is awful. This is so bad. Throw it all out, start all over again. And then on their way out, they would just give us a little wink and then leave the room. And we'd be like, oh, like, oh
You're
no.
like, "What is happening? Which
Yeah.
way is
But
up?"
exactly. But honestly, often a lot of like, it would be better. It'd be incredibly better after that. Sometimes it'd be worse, but that's that's the learning
But that's
experience.
okay, but that's
Yes,
okay. So
that's what it's
you
about.
mentioned, like, in your classes, you have a style of provoking people. How does that work for you as a teacher? Can you tell me a little bit about that style and what you're hoping to get out of your students?
Yeah. So when I say provoking, I mean sort of that I will throw my students off in a sort of way. Like, we do this game called the Tapper, and it's this really hard, confusing game. When somebody doesn't understand it or they mess up, and they'll kind of freeze, and I'll bang my drum and be like, "What's going on? What happened here?" He was like, "Well, I was tapping, and then I think I said the name." Well, I'm like, "Well, that's not the rules of the game. The rules of the game are that you do this, this, and this." And they're like, "Yeah, I know, but then this was happening." And I was like, "Okay, so what do you have to say for yourself?" And so they're kind of I put them on the spot a little bit and try to get them to explain themselves on this really silly, stupid game we're playing. It's not, the stakes are high in the game, but really it's just a game. And it puts people in a space of their authenticity comes out because they don't know what to say. And oftentimes when they are in a space of, I don't know what to say, and the next thing they say that comes out, that's the gold right there, is because they are so unfiltered. Um, the mask is dropped. they're on a state of imbalance. So suddenly there's something authentic comes out. Yeah. So I'll do that. And depending on the student, if I know them really well, I'll often push them and be like, well, this is bad. This is really bad. We're not liking this. Like, this is not funny. We're not laughing. Is this the best idea you could come up with? And again, I always preface and contextualize my classes with, I'm a playful authoritative figure. So like, if you ever feel like it's not fun anymore and it should be, then stop me. But I've never been stopped before. Everyone's always like, either their reaction will be to dig into me, which I offer them. I like, yeah, dig into me. Yeah, mock me a bit. And they'll mock me banging my drum and saying, oh, it's not funny and stuff like that. And the class is just roaring with laughter because they finally get to mock me as the authority, right? It really depends on the student. It depends on where I think I need to push them. Sometimes I don't need to push them at all. Like sometimes I won't have to say anything, and the exercise will take over, and they will be in a state of unknown by themselves. Yeah.
What do you think something like that technique that you use could be beneficial in a more traditional post-secondary type of classroom?
It's a good question. It's a good question. It's a totally different context, right? Like it depends what we're teaching. If we are teaching clown, I don't know how much of it I would change. I think if we're teaching educators or it's just public speaking, maybe there's a bit more, for some people, at least they've told me, it's a little refreshing, to be told what is not working and in a
Maybe
playful,
we're
loving
too
way.
nice. Are we too nice nowadays? Like we
Well,
kind of
this is,
like pussyfoot around a little bit and like we really care about everyone's feelings, but maybe we're actually not really sharing what's really happening in order for people to improve.
yeah, well, I don't think it is for everyone. I'll just preface it with that. And I
Mhm.
think that's fair. Like everyone has different learning styles. But for me, I always say this in my classes, it is horrible to be nice. It is great to be kind. So kindly say no. Yeah. I think being nice is not to anyone's benefit. Like if we're there to try to teach them something, it's not to be nice to them, doesn't help them. And this is something that Gully would say to me in class. He'd be like, oh, you're nice Canadian. What do you think of this? And I'd be like, oh, I thought like that moment was pretty good. I thought it was kind of funny there. And he'd go, no, you're too polite. This is not helping the student. If they don't know when they're good, how will they learn? Um, and I really believe that. I think it's where it got me. How I found my pleasure. Like for me, it was life changing because I was like, oh yeah, I am faking it. Oh yeah, I'm putting something on. I'm hiding something, but why am I hiding? So I think it's again, how do you teach someone to be themselves? How else can you? How else can you teach someone to be themselves by being like, I don't think right now we don't feel like you're being yourself. Um, we kind of feel you're holding back, you're hiding a bit, like your eyes are going here and there. You're pulling faces, which makes us a little uncomfortable. And it's important for them to know how we're feeling, right? Like I will get my
Yeah.
students to say some things like, when was it working? When did we like them? Oh, there we like them. So what was going on for you when you did that? It's kind of a jumble of words, but
No, I
uh,
love it. And I think for me, what I'm hearing is that at the beginning of your drop-ins and your sessions or your courses that you purposely attempt to create a safe space for folks. And I think that's really similar to a traditional education classroom in that if we want people to bring down their masks and open up and be themselves and be comfortable in sharing bad ideas, is that they need to feel safe first, right?
mhm, mhm,
And
totally.
supported in that moment.
Yeah, and it's important for it to be playful. There is it's we're
Yeah.
saying, I'm a little bit sometimes mean on purpose, and I do it with a sort of a smirk and a sparkle in my eye. But it's always playful, and in clown we play a lot of games, right? So it's kind of getting back to that like childlike competitiveness, and playfulness, and like like what are you doing, that sort of vibe. But getting
And
adults to
just
do that
having
again.
fun in a classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Having
we
fun in a
forget how to have
classroom.
fun.
Right? We're
Yes,
adults. We can't have fun. Those
yes.
days are gone.
In
Never.
this economy, you kidding me?
Right?
We gotta have something.
Chase, I love this conversation. So what are you doing now? What kind of cool things are you up to now?
Yeah, I'm living in Toronto. I'm doing a lot of comedy shows. I do like improv shows, and
Where can people catch you? Do you have like a regular space? How does that work for you?
Yeah, me and my troupe, we're called $20 Sandwich, and we do comedy at like
That's
Comedy
actually an
Bar.
expensive sandwich, so good for you.
Yes, well, I mean that's the play around it. It's like a $20
Okay.
sandwich. Sounds crazy, isn't it? So we do stuff at Comedy Bar here in Toronto. We're doing a Fringe show this year in the Toronto Fringe. Yeah, it depends. It's sporadically at different locations in Toronto. We do that. Um, I'm doing my sort of clown work, and shows is sort of like, no net, have nothing coming in with nothing for 30 minutes. I do it at Sweet Action Theater, but they have a bunch of shows going on there too. And yeah, I'm a working actor too. I mean, I do mostly commercial work and stuff like that, but I do the occasional TV film as well, as when it can happen. And then I'm just teaching. Like I'm teaching a lot. I'm doing a my drop in still, and I am doing a 6-week course on clown right now with another one of my clown friends, who also went to Lecoq. And I do some like solo coaching stuff. I coach mime sometimes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
You've
that's
got your
that's kind
hand
of
in a
what's
lot
going
of
on.
pots. This is fabulous. This is really
Yeah,
exciting
yeah,
stuff you have going on. Yeah.
yeah.
What has all of this taught you as a human being? Like, what is the impact on you personally?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, when you teach and you're trying to take your own medicine, I think it's the same. It's like put yourself in a place to be rejected. Do it every day. you know,
Every
just go
day,
out,
Chase.
get
Every
a
day.
no every day. It's kind of like rejection therapy in my eyes. Go out and get a no. Like, but put yourself out there more. Even if
Yeah.
you feel not ready, it's actually better when. Actually, Gaulier said this. He's like, you will do nothing if you feel ready. When you feel ready, you will do nothing. So do it when you don't feel ready, actually. So I think for me, it's just led to me saying yes and getting no's, but then eventually getting a yes. So
Hmm.
putting myself out there more as a performer, as a person as well in my life. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so, as we start to wind things down, what's one piece of advice that you might have for educators in their classroom wanting to let go a little bit, just
Mm.
themselves?
Yeah. I would say don't forget A, what you were like as a student, and B,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't forget to be a student even though you're a teacher. This whole clown philosophy, wow, this is going to be great. We always say we like it when the performer doesn't know. We like it when you don't know. If you know too much, we start to not trust you so much. But when the performer doesn't know, there's something more endearing and human about that. It's not like this imperfectness. So as a teacher, I'm always trying to learn, and in my classrooms, the students are teaching me most of the
Uh-huh.
time. So don't I can't always know. If I know, then there's something wrong. So yeah, be a student. Remember what you were like when you're a student, and also be a student always, which is kind of a classic saying, but yeah,
I
yeah,
love this. Chase, thank you
yeah.
so much for taking the time this morning, this wonderful early Sunday morning. Well, for
Yes,
me, at
thank you.
least. I
Yes, yes,
love
it's
working with
afternoon for
people
me.
on time changes. They're like, let's do
Yes,
it this time. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
yeah, it's like 5
Who
a.m. for
needs
you.
Right? Like, who needs to sleep in on a weekend? No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. But I'm so appreciative of getting to meet you, learn about clowning. And I think it comes down to also what I'm hearing from you is working from our feelings a little bit. It's okay to feel and not think and criticize or overthink things. Like when we start to genuinely connect with our emotions in a space, people are able to then connect a little bit more with us too.
Yeah, agreed. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Chase.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of The Educator Experience. We hope you're walking away feeling connected, inspired, and just a little bit more supported on your journey. Ready to go a little bit deeper? Join the Educator Experiences community and check out our courses and workshops specifically designed to support new educators as they navigate the ups, downs, and everything in between. You'll find it all at educatorexperiences.com. If today's conversation resonated with you, share it with a fellow educator and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Together, we're building a vibrant community rooted in support and connection. See y'all next Monday.